Alright. Ooh, there's two of them right down there. This dude's moonwalking. Can I just boink him off without hitting the... Okay. Ooh. Ah. Skeleton horses. I'm pretty sure you can ride these guys. Hey. Are we friends? I think they should be fine without covering them up. I don't know if they burn in the sun. And I'm not sure if I need to name them either, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Just because I had the name tags. Better safe than sorry. This might not exactly be the most kind name, or like a thoughtful name to give these horses, but I'm gonna name them Thing 1 and Thing 2. Just for now. So I can think of something clever. Hey! So, today I want to patch up this tree. We've been kind of neglecting it. This whole area, this main base, we haven't really played around in for a long time, so I'd like to, you know, come back here and do something real quick. And then later on I want to do something that's a little bit interesting. I don't know how well it's gonna go, but it could always be fun. So that tree there is 12 blocks tall, if you count it from the base all the way to the top. So far that's 6. And like I did over there with the just removing the dirt to see how the bottom of that little pond was going to be, I'm going to do here as well, where I'm going to let the Minecraft natural generation kind of half decide what our tree's going to look like. That's not bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And then it goes out 1, 2. Yeah. That's pretty good. I didn't expect to get this on the first try, but I guess that makes sense. Well, we might have to change it around a little bit. I like that one, but, you know, no harm in trying some others. That one's 5 blocks tall. It's kind of basic. It doesn't really have like a lower canopy like this one does. Even if you could call it that, it's kind of a part of the top canopy. It's just a chunk that goes off to the side. Let's try this one. Oh, there we go. I like this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks tall. And it's a little flat, isn't it? You know, out of all these trees, I think this was the winner. Or the first one that we did. So we're gonna partially base it off of this. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to take the Minecraft tree and then I'm gonna build it over there. Except instead of it being 1 block, or yeah, 1 block wide for the trunk, I'm going to make it 2 blocks like it is over there. And then we'll touch it up a little bit to make it look a little bit better. If this one was 1 block taller, I think I'm pretty sold on that. I think I like it. There's enough distance between the lower canopy and the top canopy that it actually has some interesting stuff going on. Could be a challenge to make look a little bit nicer than just the default trees. But they got enough variation. I like it. So, real quick, how do you replicate a acacia tree in Minecraft, right? Like the oak trees and the birch trees are very similar, and they're simple. It's just 2 layers of this 5x5 box around the trunk, and then you got this 3x3 box, and then you got this plus. And sometimes you can pop the corners out of the 5x5 box. That's how you replicate those trees. Super simple. The acacia trees are a little bit different, but they're kind of... It's broken up into the upper canopy and the lower canopy, and then how those are connected. Just real quick. So this is the top of our acacia tree, right? For the top canopy, you just go 3 blocks out like this. And just leave out the corners, and then connect it. Right? And then you just make a square with that, right? And then on the top you make a diamond. That goes 2 blocks out. Oops. Just like that. Just imagine it's duplicated on that side, because I'm too lazy to do the whole thing. But that's top canopy. And the lower canopy, like that one, is just 1 block smaller than the top canopy. Right? So you go 2 blocks out instead of 3, leaving out the corners. Right? And then you have this like plus sign rather than a diamond. I guess it still is a diamond, it's just really small. Just like that. Ta-da! Now there's one last thing about acacia trees that you gotta do is you gotta connect the two canopies. And basically, it's like if this lower canopy, any block that isn't on the edge of the lower canopy, but is below the upper canopy, you connect. Right? So right here, this is the edge of the lower canopy, this block, or these 3 blocks. And they are below the upper canopy, but they're not connected. Right? But that's the center. That's not the edge. These are the edge of the lower canopy. But that's the center, so that's connected. That's it. It's overly complicated, but that's... yeah, I probably could have explained it a lot better than that. But that's just kind of how I make sense of it. I'm gonna do this. Okay, so the lower canopy, the diagonal for the lower canopy started at 3 blocks. And we're gonna multiply that by 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's gonna start right here. We can either go to the right or towards us. I think in the right might be the better option here. So let's start right there. I think that's pretty good. It doesn't obscure our vision on the farms like that, and we're not bonking our head as we're running. Like we can just run and jump and it doesn't matter. That's good. We kind of did there, but that's fine. That's 1, 2, 3. Then we just double that. 4, 5, 6. And we're going to make it 2 blocks tall. Just as our... it's like a big block of unhardened clay. Right? Where you just start your sculpture and you don't really know where it's going to go. But you just have that base to kind of chisel out of. Right? That's what we're doing here. But we gotta emulate the original Minecraft canopies. And we're doing that just by doubling the blocks. So instead of going 3 blocks out, 1 block tall, I guess, 1, 2, we're going 6 blocks. And then 2 blocks tall. I built this whole tree. It was taller than this. I built it and everything, and then I realized how cool this tree is. It's right there. And it makes a lot more sense. Let's look how tall that is. I'm not like bumping into the railing. And 90% of this railing just doesn't matter anymore with that tree. So I'm just gonna do that one. So that's what a sized up version of that tree would look like. If it was doubled in, I guess, diameter? I don't know. Size. Looking at Google images of what actual acacia trees look like, they look more like almost like giant mushrooms if a mushroom was a tree. Like those flat mushrooms, not like the round mushrooms. Well, I guess the brown mushrooms in Minecraft is a pretty decent example of what they would actually look like. So what I'm thinking I gotta do is to keep it Minecrafty, I'm gonna keep the multiple canopies, but what I think I need to do is first of all blend together like this. This is a little bit sharp, right? So I just need to blend that together, and then I'm gonna have single branches off instead of the 2x2. And then I'm just gonna have like 1 branch that shoots off. I think that's the way I gotta do it. So let me try that. That's a little bit better. It's not as sharp as it was before. It's a little bit rounded. And it's got the branches that shoot off into the leaves to create the canopy rather than it looking like it's just growing right out of the top. Like they usually do, right? For 1 block, it kind of makes sense because the leaves are the branches, but once it gets into 2 or 5, like we'll eventually do with the mob farm, looks a little awkward, doesn't it? I think I need to tuck in a lot of these branches that go way off like that. I think that's kind of throwing me off, or maybe not, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm gonna play around with some lighting before some things spawn up there. You know, uh, pretty up the lower canopy as well. You know what? Trapdoors might work. What I'm trying to do with the glowstone is emulate the lanterns down here, right? We kind of have it hang off the branches. I think maybe trapdoors work better. And also maybe prismarine rather than glowstone because we're going for blue. The blue did grow on me. I like the blue. And I think we're gonna keep blue. But for now, it'll be orange. Now, here comes the thing that might be interesting or it might be terrible. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I want to try to make my own texture pack. Or resource pack, I should say. And specifically, when it comes to logs, I think that's the texture that I'm going to do. I want to make sure that someone can flip between my resource pack and their default textures in Minecraft. And their builds won't be off. That's something that I've always found jarring about certain resource packs, that they might make the logs look completely different, or they might change the color of something, and that might throw this entire build off, right? Because in default Minecraft, you know, this blue wool next to this diorite looks pretty nice. But if this looked a lot lumpier and the wool looked like maybe they put a whole bunch of spirals in it because it's like they just sheared the sheep, they didn't spin it, they just sheared it. So it's wool. It's not carpet, it's wool, right? And it could just make this entire entrance look less smooth and grand and more just like really lumpy and bleh, right? And that's just switching a resource pack. There's nothing that I really did incorrectly because I built this in default Minecraft. So I feel like that's something I want to make sure that if I do continue the resource pack, I'd like to be able to flip between the two of them and people be like, this is just, you know, alternate reality Minecraft rather than, I don't know, like a complete conversion of all the textures, right? Or maybe I'll make two. That could always be an option. Like a fancy version and then a version that's just the alternate universe version. I don't know. But this is paint.net. This is back in 2013, 2014. Paint.net and GIMP ruled the Minecraft PvP texture pack world. It was kind of like Apple versus Microsoft for kit PvP servers. Soup PvP and stuff. So I know that there's texture studio, Minecraft resource pack studio, whatever applications out there that'll compile an entire texture pack for you, and that's great and everything, but I'm just gonna stick to what I know. And what I know is a very basic set of tools that you can download. Just like how Minecraft has mods and resource packs, it's just as easy to install a resource pack into Minecraft than it is to install a plugin into paint.net. So that's why I'm using paint.net. And PyroChild has a whole bunch of different additional tools that I can use. So what we're going to start with is the oak log. Okay, that is a tiny little texture. I'm trying to drag it in and I keep missing. So this is the oak log, right? And in paint.net there's a whole bunch of little tools and stuff. This is a selection tool. I can delete it, and that's alpha. That's transparent. So if we want to make like a glass block, that's what we'll see. Is this kind of modular, maybe not modular, but like, I don't know, progressively generated checkerboard pattern. That means that there's no pixels there. Like I'm selecting 1 pixel, 2 pixel, that's 4 pixels, 9 pixels, right? For a total of 16 by 16. When there's nothing there, like I can delete the center of this log and then go back into Minecraft, and the log will be transparent, but you could see through it. And that's how I used to make texture X-ray texture packs way back in the day to cheat with. Not quite as good as the mods were. Well, I didn't ever use the mods, and the only time I ever used the X-ray texture pack was to look for dungeons and single player. So and over here we have our color wheel. So I can go over here to orange, make it darker, and we'll get a brown. I can make it paler if I want, make it almost a gray brown. Probably stick around there for now. And there's that alpha again, so we can make things sort of transparent. Kind of like how stained glass is. That's how they get stained glass in Minecraft, right? So let's say we had a wooden frame stained glass, we could do that. And then we can go this alpha thing at the very bottom, opacity, and fill that in, and that'd be our stained glass. Oh, check that out, right? Pretty cool. But what I'm gonna do is first I'm going to try to just, I don't know, like blindfolded throw a dart at a dartboard, or less a dartboard and more of the color wheel, and try to get similar colors. So I know that that's too pink, so I need to get something that's less in the red and more in the yellow, and that's too bright. So I'm gonna mess around with a couple colors and try to make my own palette without using the eyedropper tool. This eyedropper tool, I can go right here. If I want this pixel, I can do that, and now I got that pixel, right? Or if I want this darker pixel, I can use the eyedropper tool and get that darker pixel, right? I don't want to do that. I want to try to get those pixels without completely copying them. And maybe we'll make it a little bit darker and a little bit grayer. Let's see what we got there. A little too green. Let's go over here a little bit. Oh, that's nice. I like that, but it's got too much color to it, so I just upped the brightness to make it a little bit brighter. Wow, holy smokes, that was close. Look at that. That's pretty close. So that's our first color. All right. So I want to save this color, and what I can do is I can make a whole new palette and store it there, or I can store it more temporarily in my these two little colors that you can save. It's your primary and your secondary color, right? So I can go to my eyedropper tool and I can right click it, and I'll put it in my secondary spot, right? So what I can do is I can fill this in, and now if I could fill it in with left click. That's our primary color, right? And if I right click, we can get a secondary color, this brighter color. So like I said earlier, we can make a new file, and we can kind of temporarily store some stuff there. So let's just go for an arbitrary number for 500 by 500 pixels. So this isn't going to be anything that's in the game. We can just use this, you know, mess around, draw smiley faces and stuff, right? So what I can do is I'm going to take this texture. This is the default log texture, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to paste it. And it kind of tucked itself away behind my palette, but that's fine. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to paste it a second time. So this is kind of like us placing the block in Minecraft, right? So you can see pretty quickly that by doing this against a white background, we can see these right here. This goes very far in displaying that this is a pillar texture. They stand out a lot, and that's because none of the dark tones reside at the very edges of the block, and that kind of makes it have this I don't want to say bevel, but that might be what it is. That's something that we want to emulate. We want to be able to loop from top to bottom, but at the same time kind of have a beveled look to it that isn't something like lapis, like the new lapis texture. That's a very beveled texture. So if I put them next to each other, you can see it's kind of very tile-like, right? Back to the oak texture, we can take our little layer here, right? We can make a swivel if we want, and we can make it highlights. But that doesn't quite look right. If we take that and compare it to this one, there's something missing, and it's called quality. But it's also the texture is in streaks that go down. They're not a swivel. So let's try that, right? We have some streaks, right? And then we'll have some highlights. So that's pretty good. It's a little bit better. Looks more like an oak log now. But it still is missing something, right? So with this blank palette, I can go over here and I can test my own texture real quick. I can see, does it loop? Well, the answer is kind of. Maybe we could do something like that to make this little bit connect a little bit better. This white streak, maybe we want to have it continue up through there. Right, so now we got something that looks a little bit better, and let's see if this loops a teeny bit better. Right next to each other. You can see by adding those pixels, it loops a teeny tiny bit better. Not a whole lot better, but a little bit better than that, right? That's what we're looking for, is just better. And then it gets better and better and better. Certainly isn't this oak log. So now something that we can do, we can go into Pyrochild's tool that they programmed. If I can find it, I think it's in... Oh boy, where is it? Smudge. Yeah. I remember seeing this a million years ago. By a million years ago, I mean 2013, 2014. And it's what kind of kickstarted my, I guess, passion for color theory. Was Minecraft textures. And I even made my own, I went out and made my very own skin. And that's the one I still use today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crank the pressure down. And maybe go size 15. And what's wrong? Perfect. That looks so much better already. Is that any better? Is it because it has 0 pressure? Oh, that's it. Let me just go for 1. It is a 16 by 16 texture, so... Ooh, now we can smudge them. And I'm thinking maybe we just go for a round 2 with this, the dark colors. So you can just plop it in there. It's like multiple coats of paint. That's kind of what we're doing. That's a little bit better. And kind of retain the dark smudges. It looks like a chocolate chip cookie, to be honest with you. So, using my limited knowledge, this looks a lot sharper. These colors look a lot sharper than mine. Mine is very smudged, and the gradient is very apparent. So something that I can do is I can go and up the contrast. And in turn, I would have to up the brightness a little bit. So that makes it a teeny bit sharper. This is starting to look more and more like a cookie. Right? So, it still isn't quite having those streaks that I would like. But it's getting close, I think. I don't know what I'm doing. It's kind of the best part. Alright, so now we can go over here, compare it another time to our stuff over here and see if they loop well. This does kind of like snake right here. That light streak in the center does snake right through the whole texture. Kind of gets choppy around there. Maybe you can beep up. That helps it a little bit. You can see making a texture pack for me is very similar to how I build in game. It's a lot of trial and error. And we have the very basic building blocks, and then we add a little bit to that until we get something that we kind of want. This is a chocolate chip cookie. That's all I can think of when I see this. So, something that we can do that's pretty cool, I think, is we can go back here. We have our wonderful colors that we originally got. That's great and everything. I'm going to go black and white. Right. We're going to leave the black as it is. Or we're going to swap over to the white and crank the alpha to 0. Right. So that way, this is basically not a color. This is like if we were to delete this texture, and I use my eyedropper tool right here. Well, I guess it did it just for the black, but you can see it's a 0. Alpha 0, everything all zeroed out. It's 0. There's nothing there. Completely transparent, right? That still works. So what we can do is we can go to our gradient tool. This gradient meshes between the two colors. So the blacks are primary, that's up here. And this alpha color is in their secondary spot, and that's what is meshing between the two of them. So it's meshing between the black, and it's meshing between the nothing. And it's making a gradient. So the top of this log looks a little burnt. I guess that's what you could do. So we're going to go this linear reflected one. We're going to flip our options around. I'm going to put this transparent at the very center of this block. And then we're going to go and pull in and out. I'm trying to find the sweet spot. I think it's like right around there. So we can compare that to nothing. That looks a little bit better. So now what we can do is we can throw this into Minecraft, see what we think. Where do I have an oak tree? Right here. Oh, there it is. Huh. So, this is kind of like, I guess maybe the fancy version, but let's try to take away that gradient and try a lot harder to emulate the original oak log texture, which is gonna sound really weird, but we can take this and we can we can take this texture and we can crunch it all the way down to 1 pixel. So let's go back here and slap down that color just so we can hold it temporarily. And we can do the same with our texture. Well, notice that it is not the exact same. It's very difficult to notice, but you can see specifically this hex key is different between the two colors. Now that's really, really rough, but basically this is a little, original Minecraft texture is a little bit darker and a little bit more green is what I'm seeing. So what I can do is I can take this and I can go to this, right? And we can change the hue. So the hue is more towards the green side of things. So we can try to change that very slightly. I think the saturation's fine. So we're getting a 2 towards the right of the color wheel, and we're going to -8 on lightness. So this is something that I haven't really done before. So I'm going to see if this works. So what we could do is we could take those values and apply it to our original texture. Right? And it's such a slight change. It is so difficult to see the change between that. But you can notice that it is a teeny bit more green and a teeny bit darker. So that's as good as I'm probably going to get it. So this is like our original Minecraft texture, I guess. And then we can have the other texture with the gradient on it as our kind of our fancy version, where it's not quite a direct translation. But yeah, let's see how this goes. All right. So this is just regular old Minecraft, right? This is the version that has the color correction to it, but it doesn't have the gradient. And here is the version without any color correction and with the gradient to it. Doesn't look like a log, but it kind of just looks like, it looks soft. Maybe I just made the carpet texture accidentally. Maybe smudge it up a whole bunch and we'll get a wool texture. How about that? Let's check out the... I made... It looks like ooze. That doesn't look like a carpet. What is that? Oh my goodness, that's a slime block texture. What on earth? I think I'm done. Alrighty. I need to take a course in like pixel art or something before I try this again. I'm already in college for something else, so... And I'll have to wait. There's probably like an online, little free online course I could find, but whatever. I don't know. This is kind of an experiment. let's call it that. It was fun. I liked it. It was fun. And why is that weird? Okay. I enjoyed this. This was fun, but at the same time, yeah, I think I'm gonna practice a little bit more because all I did was draw some lines and smudge them, and it yeah. Well, okay, I need to look away. Alrighty, at least I tried, you know. And venturing outside of your comfort zone is a very good thing, even if it results in what is that texture? Alright, thanks for watching. Goodbye.